Okay, so I just made a video and then I ran out of space on the damn machine. So I just wasted half an hour of my life. Luckily, you didn't waste your life. Now, what we're going to do is talk about refinancing. And I'm going to talk about refinancing in a couple of videos. The first video here is a simple refinancing where we discuss a cash flow sweep. Now, the reason I'm talking about refinancing is really in the context of these things called mini perms. Now, when I first heard the name mini perm, I was very intimidated. And I'm sure somebody made millions, not just a million, some banker made millions coming up with this wonderful term where, you know, they have a maturity of about 7 years to meet the Basel, which you know is a very, very nice city in Switzerland, where my grandmother was from, but it's known for these banking rules now. In this one here, we had a fully amortizing tranche, and another one was 7 years. So that 7 years would be the mini perm. The EKF tranche will have the right to put their loans, which suppose they can ask for the loans to be repaid at the 7-year tranche. These are all tailored loans with the same amortization. So what that means, all tranches use the same amortization. So even though it's 7 years, I should have put the total tenor of the debt in somewhere, but what happens is they use the same amortization and they just have a refinancing risk. So you just have to model this, you have to understand modeling of refinancing. And then they have something a little more complicated here. Let's see, depending on the wind data, I wonder what that all means. And further due diligence, vague, nothing. Starting in year 3, option, after the COD, a percentage to be determined of the cash flow available for distribution will be applied to the credit facilities with the goal of, under the 1-year P50 case, reducing the C+7 tranche commercial operation to a balloon that would be available under a 12-year tranche. So if you look at how much would be left under 12 years, I think, minus how much would be left under 7 years, that amount should be in a cash flow sweep. So we have refinancing and cash flow sweep. Now, the way I'm going to address this is to first do kind of a basic refinancing. I don't know why I have this sheet here yet, because we're going to do another refinancing, and this one is obsolete. And this one is obsolete for now too, okay? So in this case, and I am sorry I already went through this, now the refinancing depends on just how much cash flow we have. Okay, so we'll do some alternate cash flows, F11 and then Alt-EL. And now you have project IRR of 8%, very high project IRR in the context of an interest rate of 3%. Okay, and then now we have the standard first one. Now here's what I did in the last video. Maybe I'll just delete a couple of these lines. How about deleting the repayment line and repayment at refinancing line? Okay, and how about I'll delete all the refinancing lines? Okay, wow. That makes me depressed. Now, if you're going to set this up, here's the first key thing, is to set up a cash flow statement. And in the cash flow statement, set up that the same time you're going to be doing the debt statement, because the repayment, you do not know if you're going to have a cash flow sweep, and that's what we're really talking about until here. And let's redo this cash flow sweep, okay? So step 1 is to make sure, and number 1, put the debt schedule up near the up above the cash flow statement. I don't care where, but above it. Number two is you're going to take the repayment from the cash flow statement. And number three is you better have a whole lot of subtotals, because you're going to use the minimum and maximum statement on all of these. So first, let's compute how much we can sweep. And to compute the cash flow sweep, you use the minimum of the how much you'd have to sweep, but you'll never sweep more than the opening balance. So the test, you'll always have some kind of test on the opening balance. Okay? Shift Control R. But then it is possible that this would be a negative number. So we're going to put a maximum of 0 around that. So that's use of the minimum and maximum. And then we take that number we want to put in the debt schedule and take it directly from the cash flow. That's the big trick. Okay? Now then, so we have that. Now the next thing I did is I said, okay, well, let's put a refinancing in here. And then first thing we have to do is decide how big our refinancing is going to be. Excuse me, that was a little rude. And I'm going to, let's say if we issued, where's the debt we issued? We issued 800. Let's say we have a refinancing of 700. Maybe that's too much. There should be some. We'll move forward. And hopefully we can make a refinancing based on a prospective LLCR or something like that. DSCR, something like that, okay? And then we put the refinancing year in this year. Now the key thing about this to do is to go up to the period and just make it equal to the refinancing year. This is going to be a little trickier in the next video when we'll do a multiple refinancing. And I happen to have here, let's see if we go to the conditional formatting. Oh, look at all these things. Hopefully this will be, maybe we should make a macro that just presses updating the refinancing. When you insert the rows and all that, it messes things up. I have to think about that later. Okay, and now what we do is in the refinancing year, let's just make this is opening balance equal our closing balance. Our refinanced debt is the amount we put in multiplied by this switch. The repayments from the cash flow sweep, now I didn't tell you that. I made an identical thing, but on that one, it's right below. We have a second line item in there, okay? And then our closing balance is the opening balance plus the refinance debt minus the repayments, and our interest, we'll use the same interest rate on the opening balance. So we don't have mixing of, changing interest rates and all that. So we have this, and then my repayments from the cash flow sweep are not working quite yet. Let's see what's happened here. Less. So this is this one. And just a minute. Should have kicked in. I think what I have to do is first put the repayment of the existing debt, which is we can't use the closing balance. That would cause a circular reference. It's the opening balance plus the amount we repaid this time, and let's assume the refinancing occurs 1 millisecond after, not before, and then this better be this one. So why is this one going negative? Just a minute, because I subtracted instead of added. That's pretty bad. Good. I at least showed you a little bit what I'm doing. Okay, so now this goes down. When this goes down to 0, then we won't have any in our cash flow. We won't have anything here, and then we do the same min-max deal. Maximum, and put the minimum of the we could have made a subtotal, but I think we can use this one. This, or we might have to make a subtotal next time on the opening balance. Close that, or 0. Okay, and I'm going to put this in. Now, finally, we say, well, in the refinancing year, here's what happens. You get to add the amount that's an additional cash flow is the amount you refinanced, but you have to subtract out the amount you paid at refinancing. Now, it's absolutely true that there will be all sorts of fees and everything else, and you really should make an entire sources and uses statement for this. And then what I did is I put the balance sheet in. Let's make sure it all balances. Okay, so and then we'll take this minus this. Okay, and then we can put our test in, making sure that we don't put this equals 0, or if we a little better round of this, comma 2 equals 0. Okay, so that gives you the basics of a whole kind of analysis. And then in our, we're right now in the graph, let me see, we have cash flow and debt service, which we just have the debt service from our first one, and let's put refinance debt service. Okay, and that's going to be now I also, in case you're wondering, I hope I was careful with the interest. I put the interest on both the refinance debt and the initial debt here. So our refinance debt is our cash. This number is our repayment, and we put the interest up here on the refinance debt. Okay, I hope that's what I did. And then let's see how we can adjust this graph. If we go to select data, right now it has this area. Now I can, oops. Okay, I guess I can't just press F4. Shift Control right arrow. I guess I have to press that. And it doesn't show the kind of thing from refinancing. Oops, I don't know what this little open thing is. But we can see how much we've, what's the effect of all the refinancing. Okay, now, let's do this. If we put, do we have any room here? Refinance debt and year. Okay, whoops. And right now we have, oh God. We have, in the refinance debt, we have the 700, okay, and we need to put a couple of spinner boxes on these, and the year is the 6, so we can move these up and down and see what happens to our equity IRR. Okay, I guess I have no choice but to do these horrible, shitty things. Okay, let's go to the insert a spinner box around this one. Right click, format control, can go to 0 to 30, go to another sheet, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and then maybe we can just, good, well, this shows what happens if we, if it's 0, I assume we better not have a refinancing. Okay, let's copy that. I haven't thought about that. Maybe it somehow doubles up the refinancing, and we better, on this one, switch it to 4D. And then make it go up to, how about 1,500, and maybe we'll go by 10. Okay, so let's put at least our amounts, let's copy this to the refinanced amount, and then we can look at the effect of the refinancing on the, well, let's put a year of refinancing here too. Oh gosh. Okay. Now, what you could do is make maybe we should do this even, let's make it smaller, but eventually we could make a two-way data table and check what happens to the IRRs. Whoops. Okay, I put this as the wrong one. Shit. This is the amount. I thought I copied that. Oh no. Oh God, what a waste of time with these little damn things. Okay, this is the year. It's supposed to, oh shit. This is the amount. Okay, I'm pausing this. I'm gonna redo it. Okay, I'm back. I think I fixed this. I kept on putting them in the backwards place and all that, you know. Okay, so if we have no refinancing, it looks like our equity IRR is 9.81. I thought I was getting something else before, but that we have a cash flow sweep, and we just use all our cash flow, and it just goes to the, yeah. Okay, and then if we refinance, that's really bad because we're not refinancing anything, but if we refinance up to the amount we had of the debt, let's put that in. Come on, come on, come on. It was 800. Okay. Okay, finally, please, please, please. Okay, I think we get a little bit higher IRR, and then if we push the refinancing out, whoops, the other way, then we're getting a higher IRR. Higher, 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 and then it goes down. So there's kind of an optimal refinancing year, and what you really want to do is put another refinancing element here. I'm going to work on this one now, and I'm going to turn the video off when I work on this one, but that shows you the general issues associated with the refinancing. Okay, so I'm going to pause this just for a minute. Okay, I'm really struggling. I can't get this graph to get rid of clearly there's no mistake. That's the good news, and I just can't get the graph to kind of really display what's going on. So the best I could do is put a line and then another thing here. Okay, why it's not where's our cash flow? Excuse me. Down here. Oh God. Okay. Shift Control R. Does that help our graph? Did it adjust the graph? No. Oh God. Okay. Let's select the data again. Why? I shouldn't. Should have turned the video on for this. This time. Let's see. So we just put a year in. Hopefully it should have taken out those first years, and it didn't. The hell didn't it do that? Oh well. Okay, I'm going to leave it. Why didn't it take it out here? Okay. So now we're going to try more refinancing in here later. You can see that the refinancing certainly, at least in this scenario, made quite a difference. If we would have used code number 2, let's use code number 2, then we get a 3% IRR. That's too little. Let's put this as 70. 66. 65. So yeah, that's okay. And then if we never refinanced, that's wrong. Something's funny here. The project IRR, if we have number 2, should be this minus. Okay. Project IRR is 4%, so refinance here now. Why is it getting a little less than this? Let's turn the machine off and turn the video off and make sure I didn't make some stupid mistake. Okay, it's good I tested the balance sheet. And now if we have I don't know what I did wrong, but if we have this scenario 2, we get a IRR of 4.99%. To make sure that's all working, what you could do is change this to 0. And then, oh, this is the pre-tax IRR, so I'm going to say that that's okay. Not the after-tax IRR, this IRR, so we got to be a little careful. And then if we increase the refinancing year, it pushes up the IRR. It keeps pushing it up, 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 pushing it up. Oops, then it started to go down. Then it started to go down. And there's kind of an optimal refinancing year. So what you could do, which would be a little more interesting, is some sort of optimization. And to do the optimization, you could put in let's put in refinancing. Let's go from 500. Okay, 500. I hate that. Oh, add 100. Watch this. No, okay, that. Okay, and then we could put in a year. Alt-IS. Let's make it go up to 20 years. So that's going to be a big data table. Why did that not work? That worked. And we can put in our equity IRR. Oops. If you press Shift Control Space, it doesn't work because I have that other crap here, but it would work for you. And then we put the data and what if analysis and data table and the row input cell. I believe, well, I'm going to make sure. I kind of still get afraid. I think we could have put it in the other one. Oops. Row input cell is here, and column input cell is here, and I might have lost my data table. Okay, and then because I can't. You can press Shift F9 to calculate yours, and we can see Shift Control P. Kind of, if we, what's the optimal period? Whoops, Shift Control P. What's the optimal period in each case? So we can put maximum. Maximum. Okay, if this one, Shift Control. Oops, we better not. I don't know. Shift Control R will work on that one. Okay, and if you want to get fancy, I suppose you could do a conditional formatting. And in your conditional formatting, let's see how fast we can do this and how many mistakes I make. But you're going to go to the new rule, and then when you go to the new rule this time, of course, go to a formula and go to the top here, press F4 key. We don't want anything here. Equal. Yeah, maybe we want this one equal that one. No, this one we just want it on the L. And this one we want it on let's take this one. No, this one is not on the L, but on oops, oh shit. F4. That one. And then let's make a format and fill and see what happens. Just pick the random color. No. Okay. So well, of course we'd always want that one to be the best. Suppose we could do the same thing here, which is if we took this one, what's the best year to do it? That's more interesting, isn't it? So let's take the maximum of this way. Okay. And in this case, the best year is wherever. Okay, let's do the same thing. I think this one you could have done another way too, right? You could have used the regular old formatting, but I am afraid of that. So let's take this one and go back to the left. Oops, press. Okay, ah, shit. Well, we go back to the left. Click on a cell and get this wheel down. And if this equals this time, this one, but this one we'll put the F4 on this one. And that would be a more interesting one, so let's make it blue. I don't know why blue is a more interesting color. And in this case, you'd always want to do it early. In this case, we want to do it later. And in this case, we want to do it later. That's kind of interesting. The maximum hits a different value in different cases. Why? I don't know. You could even do a match of this one against all this. Now, when you'd have to do that, you'd have to put a 0. So that's our year 15. Is that right? Is 15? No. Yes, it is. So we don't even have to put an index along with that. So this is our optimal year of refinancing, depending on how much we refinance. That's odd that it does either it's a mistake in the model probably, or it's there's some theory that I don't quite get, but you can see that, of course, if you refinance a whole lot, you want to do it earlier. And if you want to refinance less, you want to do it later. Now, the next video we're going to make is the same sort of video, but we're going to do it with a multiple refinancing. So there'll be a few more Excel things. Now, why don't we do this? If we put cash flow case 1, which is this lower case, then let's see if the optimal period of the refinancing changes. Yeah, it seemed to change there. Well, it did. It certainly did. So you kind of, that makes a little more sense. You're going backwards. And then if we make it number 3, which is this high case, then we've got to calculate this thing now. It looks like we have the same pattern, and it's probably better to finance in different years, so you can see that you're not going after a clear target, and maybe that is worth a little discussing. Okay, so that's the refinancing. And now we're going to do a same kind of thing. I'm going to copy this and make it into multiple refinancings. Again, what's the true IRR? You could argue that it's the optimal refinancing year. And you don't know what the optimal refinancing amount is. That's a little trickier. Okay? But maybe it's good that I had the problem with the video, because we could talk